We are back. MIRAIDON is out there, and it's going to get you. If you don't know, Specs MIRAIDON just won the first Regulation G regional. So today we're going to talk about some Pokemon you can tack onto your team as a way to deal with it. It is one of the scariest hyper offense Pokemon in the game. If you don't know, MIRAIDON has multipliers out the wazoo. It's got Hadron Engine, it summons electric terrain, and during the electric terrain, its special attack has a 33% increase. If you don't know, electric terrain increases the power of electric moves like Electro Drift by 30%, or at least I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me check. Hold on, electric terrain. I forget. It's like a life orb boost basically to electric moves. It got nerfed from 50% in Generation 8, but yeah. So it's a very strong combination of abilities and type coverage. But beyond that, MIRAIDON loves items like Life Orb and especially Choice Specs, and it likes to go with Terra Electric. So all things combined, 1.5, well, it's actually 2 because when you Terra the type that you are, it's 2. So 2 times 1.5 times 1.3 times 1.3 times, if it's a super effective attack, 1.3. It's a lot of multipliers. So yeah, we're gonna talk about ways that you can deal with this guy. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's get into it. If you enjoy this standpoint in time, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and let's just talk about these MIRAIDON counters that you can find a way to put onto your team. Shout out Jody with the Pachirisu. But yeah, this channel is partnered with GamerSupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order GamerSupps through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. GamerSupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. So, number one, first and foremost, is going to be Ting-Lu. Now, Ting-Lu is a Pokemon that can fit onto plenty of different archetypes. As far as restricteds go, basically every single physical restricted doesn't mind having a Ting-Lu next to it. Calyrex Ice is especially really nice next to Ting-Lu since you can set up that Trick Room. Koraidon, you can lower the power of water type moves coming from like Urshifu Rapid Strike, which is very nice. And Zacian, I guess, doesn't mind Ting-Lu either. So Ting-Lu is especially strong into MIRAIDON because not only is it a ground type with access to Stab, Stomping Tantrum, and Snarl and all that to reduce the damage from the MIRAIDON, but also its ability is Vessel of Ruin, which means that with MIRAIDON on the with Ting-Lu on the field, MIRAIDON's special attack stat is going to be decreased slightly. So let's say you have like a, I don't know, we'll go with like a Calyrex Ice, right? Calyrex Ice Rider, Choice Specs Electro Drift, that's a roll to KO you, like from full without Terastallization, in which case Terastallization, you just get KO'd. But if Vessel of Ruin is active and that special attack is decreased, now you have a chance to live that Electro Drift even after Terastallization, this is like the strongest move in the game, by the way. So if you just increase that special attacks, that special defense stat slightly, you can guarantee that live with Ting-Lu on the field, which is actually very useful in this metagame. So yeah, that's definitely a Pokemon you want to consider. Also, Ting-Lu itself is able to just kind of mess this guy up. Like if we take a look at the calcs, the Assault Vest Ting-Lu, Draco Meteor is just bouncing off of you for the most part. I know it's like, it says 50%, but mind you, also, that's a weird Ting-Lu. Hold on. Go 252 HP. That's a weird Ting-Lu. I don't know. All right. So like 252 HP. Draco Meteor is doing like 60%. Mind you, that is with all the multipliers. That's technically bouncing off you, but also since they're choice specs, they can usually lock into an electric move, in which case you just hard wall them, obviously. And even if like you do Terastallize and you're able to be hit by that electric move, you eat it pretty well since you're Assault Vest and stuff. And Stomping Tantrum is going to be a clean 2-hit KO against them. So yeah, Ting-Lu, very strong option into MIRAIDON. Lots of archetypes it can fit onto. Ursula Blood Moon is another one that is a little weird. Ursula Blood Moon is a Pokemon that can really put out a lot of damage, right? We all know that Terra Normal Life Orb Blood Moon is like an absurdly powerful move. You can see this is only 116 special attack. Let's say you go 252. Yeah, you're KOing that MIRAIDON like a time and a half over with a neutral attack. So MIRAIDON is really scary for Ursula Blood Moon because obviously that Draco Meteor is very strong into you. You have to switch in on Choice Specs electric type moves to pressure them to need to switch, in which case you can Blood Moon into the slot and they either lose the Miraidon, or they lose whatever's coming in the back. So that is very strong. You also have Earth Power, I suppose, if you want to click it. But for the most part, Blood Moon's going to be doing more to most things, especially after that Terra Normal. So keep that in mind. We also, and it pairs well with Farigiraf. So if you have like a Trick Room mode, Ursaluna Blood Moon works. And also if you have a Tailwind mode, Ursaluna Blood Moon can work. Because, you know, there are some like super fast Ursalunas that take advantage of Tail Room stuff. You know, you have Tailwind and Trick Room. So like 252, you hit 104. That's faster than Miraidon with Tailwind active because you hit 208. You can even go down a little bit. You can just hit 206 with 244, which can allow you to put a little bit more. You can hit that Life Orb number at 189 and then put the rest in like defense and stuff. And that's not a terrible spread, you know. So Ursaluna Blood Moon, very strong option. Ursaluna regular is also quite good. You know, we already know how this guy works. So you have Guts Flame Orb, and you also have Stab on Facade, as well as that awesome move that we all know and love that I'm forgetting the name of. Headlong Rush. 120 base power move. Obviously, Ursaluna base is going to be completely annihilating a Miraidon. So Headlong Rush is doing like 202% to this guy. Yeah, obviously. Facade's also a one-shot, which is really cool. You know, Miraidon, despite having 100 defense, that move's just ridiculous coming off of an Ursaluna. You have 140 base attack, and you know, it becomes a 140 base power move with the Guts burn, and then you also have Guts giving you a 50% increase to your attack. This mon is actually in a really good spot. On top of that, it has much better special defense than Ursaluna Blood Moon. Ursaluna Blood Moon is sitting at 113 HP, 65 spit F, where Ursaluna regular is 130 HP, 80 spit F, which is, yeah, that's a big improvement. You're pretty bulky on that front. So that will allow you to better eat the Draco Meteors. You know, if they're not choice specs, let's say they're running like Life Orb or something, maybe you have a shot to live that with like the right special defense investment. Yeah, you can calc to live that if you really want to, or even if you just don't have, you know, any item, you just straight up live that hit. That's very strong. Landorus is another option. I mean, Landorus is just like a strong Pokemon overall. It is, you know, able to run Sheer Force with the Life Orb. This video isn't just listing off ground types, by the way. We're gonna get into some other options. But yeah, you have Protect, you have Sheer Force, Life Orb, Stab, Earth Power, which is a lot of multipliers. I don't even need to throw this in the calculator, but I guess I will. Yeah, your Landorus is going to one-shot a Miraidon very easily. 120 to 143 with nothing other than the Life Orb, Sheer Force. Yeah, it's strong. The only thing is obviously Draco Meteor hurts. You have to make that call out. If you really want to, you can go like Terra Fairy if you can play the 50-50, but I don't think that's worth it. You probably want like a better defensive Terra than that, you know, for Landers. But yeah, Raichu is an interesting one. It is a Lightning Rod Pokemon with access to Fake Out, Faint, Volt Switch if you want to run that, and Endeavor. Endeavor's really good. With Sash Endeavor, you're able to go down to 1 HP and then, you know, get something in range. You can get it, like the opponent into 1 HP, and then Faint will pick up for the KO because it's a priority move. But also you can use Faint to break protects for your partners to hit things. And of course, Fake Out is just nice for flinching things on lead. And it is one of the fastest Fake Outs in the game. It's 110 base speed. You're outspeeding Mienshao and a whole bunch of other very fast Fake Out Pokemon. You're outspeeding Rillaboom, which is nice. But most importantly, you have Lightning Rod. Yes, the Miraidon can lock into Discharge, which will hit everything on the field. But if they are scared of hitting their partner, there's a good chance that they're not going to lock in Discharge and they're going to go for Electro Drift. That will allow you to reactively switch in Raichu, absorb that electric type move, and then KO with a partner, whether it be like an Urshifu Rapid Strike or like an Urshifu Single Strike for like Terra Dark Wicked Blow. It'll do a decent amount of damage to Miraidon, and they'll be forced to switch since Raichu hard walls them. So very solid option there. Pachirisu, I'm just throwing this in there because it's funny. Pachirisu technically can be a hard wall with Terra Fairy. I mean, Raichu can also be a hard wall with Terra Fairy if you really want to. There's not really a reason not to. Terra Ghost is also pretty decent. You know, Pachirisu, it's a Pokemon. It also has just generally good utility. It still has Super Fang, it still has Follow Me, still has Nuzzle, and I don't know, Helping Hand. Do you get Helping? Yeah, it still has all the utility it did back in 2014. It can do stuff. It's got good special defense. Can you live a Draco Meteor, Pachirisu? Let's run the calc. Let's run the calc. Can you live this Draco Meteor? I believe in you. I believe in you. And you know what? You're sassy. You can live this. Draco Meteor, 88 to 104. Easy live. Easy live with no multipliers. Oh my god, hold on. Okay, so maybe you don't live that. So Palmot is also interesting, because it has some decent utility. You know, you have fake out, close combat, double shock if you really want to, but it most importantly has volt absorb and fake out combined, which means that you're completely immune to the Miraidon electric moves. You can switch in on that, you know, with no issue. But also it's just, you know, a nice little fake out Pokemon. It has access to Revival Blessing, which means that it, oh, that's not the right thing I meant to click on. It has access to Revival Blessing, meaning that not only is it able to switch in on Miraidon moves, but if the Miraidon is locked into an electric move and you just lost your, like, I don't know, Kyogre or something, you can just kind of stay in and bring it back. And that's like decent utility that I think doesn't get a lot of use in current VGC. But with this being like a single restricted format, Palmot actually does have a little bit of a niche in just bringing back like your busted legendary Pokemon, whether it be a Koraidon or a Calyrex Shadow or a Calyrex Ice. You can literally just go, okay, do it again, buddy. Do it again. So, yeah. Wo-chien is actually a fairly decent pick into Miraidon because you have this really high special defense stat of 135. And you also have access to Snarl, Pollen Puff to keep things alive, Foul Play to deal with other stuff, and yeah, you know the general Wo-chien moveset. But yeah, it's actually really decent in the Miraidon because of this. So if we just take a look at like the one that I ran at the regional, I'm only 12 Spit F. You can see that like Draco Meteor is a roll to KO with that. You can just go ahead and increase a little bit, and then you can always live the Draco Meteor, which is fairly nice. You can get them to force them to lower their special attack stat, and then you like live the next one. You know, you have Citrus Berry and stuff. But beyond that, you know, Electro Drift is not doing too much to Wo-chien. You go down to your Citrus Berry, and after the Citrus Berry, it's only a 30% chance to 2-hit KO. You get the Snarl off that turn, and that can be very helpful. So it's just an okay. I figured I'd just throw that in there for the meme. Zacian Crowned is fairly okay into the Miraidon. It's not the best, but you can also tech Terra Ground onto this guy to make it a much scarier matchup for them. They're likely going to want to click the electric move into you. But with Terra Ground, you can force them to have to click the Draco Meteor into them, which you're completely immune to because you're a fairy type. So they have to call the 50-50. And also Zacian is just such a strong typing and like Pokemon that you don't really mind having to run a weird Terra like Terra Ground. And on top of that, if they decide to not Terra, you can just straight up one-shot them with your Play Rough at +1. If they're not Terra'd, you have 144. Even if you get intimidated, like let's say that you lose the +1, it's 96 to 115 with Jolly 252, which you can just run Adamant too. Yeah, with 148 base speed, and Adamant outspeed Timid, so you're 200, 205. No, you do have to run Jolly, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still, that is a very strong Mon into Zacian Crowned. Terapagos is arguably one of the most annoying matchups for the Miraidon players, because obviously when you Terra, you turn off the electric terrain. So with electric terrain gone, you actually remove a lot of the damage output from Miraidon, because you have to remember that it's not just getting its damage output from the terrain, it's getting its damage output from the ability Hadron Engine, which gives it a 30% increase. It gives it a life orb for terrain being up. So with that gone, the electric moves just don't do much. Like it's only, you have to keep in mind, it's only, this sounds weird to say, it's only 135 base special attack. Calyrex Shadow Rider has like 165. It's a ridiculous special attack set, where Miraidon being at the same special attack set as Fluttermane makes it so it's like more reasonable. So yeah, with that, like Electro Drift just straight up bounces off of Terapagos, and if you Terra one, yeah, I am, which is the one? Terapagos? I don't, 95, hold on, Terastal. Okay, there we go, 160. I was like, why is it doing so much? Yeah, you can see that like Electro Drift is doing like 45 to 53 without the terrain active, and that's with the choice specs. Keep in mind that this is like a Calm Mind Pokemon that really loves leftovers, so in a lot of situations you can end up at +1 special defense, at which point you just, blast it with Terra Starstorm. And since Miraidon loves to Terra, Terra Starstorm just does a ton of damage to it, since it's super effective at that point, so that is really cool. Next up, Rillaboom. This one, these are just like other ways to deal with it. Terapagos, Terastal, like I said, removes the terrain, but there are other Pokemon that can override the terrain, which is really nice. Grassy Surge, Assault Vest, Rillaboom is really, really solid into Miraidon for this reason, because you can fake out U-turn. They're forced to switch in a lot of situations because they don't have the damage up that they need to get what they need to get done. So you can just go ahead and get off the field. You know, you can have just your grassy terrain active. They never really get to get the damage they need. And by constantly U-turning, you'll basically always have terrain dominance because you're going to be the slower U-turn compared to their fast to volt switch. So you U-turn after they switch, you just come back in. It's very fun. It's like a really, really annoying way to deal with the Miraidon players. Indeedee female is also another case of this. Obviously, Psychic Surge. You know, it's Indeedee. It's Indeedee. It does Indeedee things. Trick Room. It doesn't get Expanding Force anymore, right? Yeah, it doesn't. Dealing, whatever. It's Indeedee. You override the terrain. You have a really good special defense stat, so you can even do like Psychic Seed, Follow Me. That's a really good answer to Miraidon, especially since Indeedee also loves to run Terra Fairy to avoid getting one-shot by dark moves, you know. And then finally, we have Iron Bundle technically isn't a counter to it, but I just want to point out that speed control is really important. You know, Iron Bundle gets the speed boost in electric terrain. You can also just run booster energy if you're not like a psycho. Icy Wind, KO with a faster partner. Fluttermane, a similar situation. You know, fast Icy Wind and also fast Moonblast. You have speed control, let your partners KO, but also you're a fast fairy type. You can try to one-shot it with Specs, Moonblast, Terra Fairy. It's just a really good Pokemon into it. And then we have the pettiest counter of all. If you want to be petty, technically this beats Miraidon like 100% of the time. You just run like Terra Ground, high horsepower Iron Treads with Cork Drive to speed boost and get faster than it. And you just hit it. You know, it's a petty counter. But yeah, Miraidon, really the way that you beat it, it's entirely dependent on board positioning and stuff. But like these specific Pokemon are going to be very helpful for your team. And like there's a long list of Pokemon that can beat Miraidon, you know, by just existing on the field. And you can just slot one of these Pokemon onto your team to have a better matchup into it. Because Miraidon teams, they're basically, you know, at the moment it's Farigiraf, Urstina, Blood Moon, Miraidon. Like it's just go, go, go. It's hyper offense. There's like nothing stopping them from taking KO. So you can either Trick Room on them and like sweep them with Urstina, Blood Moon, or Urstina regular. You can outspeed them with like Landorus. You can like shut them down by having like a Volt Absorb, Fake Out Mon, or like a Lightning Rod Pokemon. Or you can just say, hey, Tinglu's on the field, you don't get to play the game. There are many different ways to deal with it, so I just figured I would share a few. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and let me know what you guys want me to talk about in the next video. See ya.